first? Would you like Rosen Mersch pedo setup or Bobby Lee getting canceled by Amazon?
Both of those sound awful. So I guess
Bobby Lee's shorter.
Yeah, I'd rather do the Bobby Lee thing. If his story had been true, I think it's shitty the thing he did, but I still don't think, like, after all this time of saying it, that he should be canceled. That's kind of weird.
Thank you, Delco Lou, for the $4.99. He says, goal met. Indeed, it is. Thank you very much, buddy. All right, so we get to play a unique clip for the Bobby Lee thing.
Yeah.
By the way, does our boy Unique stream anymore? I don't think he does.
No, I think he posts clips. I get all of his clip notifications and no live streams.
All right.
Which is devastating because I used to love those live streams.
I thought they were really entertaining live streams. So Bobby Lee decided to resurrect the Tijuana story recently. Now, if I were advising Bobby Lee, I would have told him to do no such thing.
Nope. If it's a dirty one, probably don't bring it up again.
Right. What happened was Bobby Lee reads the internet way too fucking much, just like Cardi B, just like everybody else, reads the internet way too much, and saw people on Reddit were talking about the Tijuana story. It's a story he told about 15 years ago on the Opie and Anthony show, where he talked about how he allegedly had sex with an underage hooker in Tijuana and made her cry and all of this other stuff.
It was awful.
So it came up on Reddit again because people on Reddit have no lives and they're monsters, and they thought it would be funny to bring up the Bobby Lee Tijuana story and see if they could get the guy canceled for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bobby Lee, what Bobby Lee doesn't understand is that they can't get you canceled for bringing that up on Reddit. But what they can do is they can get you to talk about it, so then it becomes a story on TMZ and everywhere else, which now it has been.
And now he's tripping up.
And now you can get canceled. Amazon has apparently dropped Bobby Lee over this Tijuana story. Amazon would have never dropped Bobby over the Tijuana story if it was just a Reddit thing.
Nope, they wouldn't have known about that.
And even if they would have went, well, we don't know if that's fucking true.
The credibility of anyone on Reddit is
right,
pretty tiny.
They would have been able to just go, yeah.
Next to none.
It doesn't fucking matter. Who gives a shit? But Bobby Lee brought it to the forefront, and he addressed it on his show. And now Amazon goes, well, wait a minute. This is on TMZ. This is a story because Bobby's addressing it. We played the clip on our show on Thursday, I think.
Covered it on Simpcast last night, too.
This is, again, to use one of April's sports terms, the sport of tennis, this is an unforced error. The Reddit people brought it up. If Bobby would have done what the rest of us do and just not gone on Reddit because it's just a vacuum of dog shit. There's two kinds of people on Reddit. People Reddit hate, and then people that are going to be hated by Reddit pretty soon but aren't right now.
Yeah.
Those are the two types of people.
It's literally vacuum sealed dog shit.
Exactly. So Bobby Lee addressed it, and here's what happened.
A video about a bunch of TikTokers trying to get Bobby Lee canceled over his Tijuana story. Now, everybody 2 weeks ago in the comments of that video was like, he's not going to get canceled. Nobody's going to care because this sort of thing has happened before.
Are you guys new to how the fucking world works now? People love bringing up shit from 2 decades ago and seeing if they can trip people up over it. It's a sport.
People do it to us all the time.
Yeah, with Bobby Lee, this is sport fishing now.
Yeah.
They caught Bobby Lee there. And Bobby Lee is the kind of lunatic, like the kind of insecure, anxiety-ridden person where this could cause him to just stop doing his show.
He's turned into a weird, soft, spineless version of himself lately. It's very odd.
In fairness, those of us who have been O&A fans for a long time, he was always like this.
I do feel he's gotten worse.
Bobby Lee has always been a spineless worm. Like, he's just always been weak-willed, easy to take advantage of. He's worse now in that somebody came along who could play him for the fool in his ex-girlfriend, fiance, Kalila, whatever role she played. Business partner. It's always
Roommate.
Good. Roomie. So somebody now has made a mark out of him, has taken advantage of him. But he's always been kind of this guy who worried way too much, who let everything affect him, who couldn't let anything go. And now he's stepped in this shit on his own.
And 2 weeks later, it seems like he is getting canceled. So he dropped an episode of Tigerbelly addressing the Tijuana story. I wondered why he dropped this episode.
Right, thank you. Okay, so Unique and I agree. That's how I know I'm being reasonable.
Yeah.
Is that Kyle agrees
Of course.
with me. Why address it? It's been out there for 15 years. People who thought it was a joke have taken it as a joke. People who thought it was real have taken it like it's real. Those judgments have already been made. There's no reason to bring it back up.
Let it lie, for sure.
TMZ has never heard of it before. Amazon had never heard of it before. And they never would have heard about it if you hadn't given it oxygen, you fucking dummy.
Yeah, but everyone always thinks like once they hear, oh, somebody's out to get me, like they've got to address everything as if it's going to make it better. But
no, the only thing that can get you is you.
Right. Even if you say all the right things, like, well, obviously that's not true. Now you're still talking about it. And now somebody else like the TMZ or somebody's going to look into this.
Right.
So
I said, over 2 weeks ago, I made that video about the TikTokers trying to get him canceled. At the time, he just made all of his accounts private. And it seemed like the strategy was just make all your accounts private, hunker down, ignore it, and it will just go away.
There you go. Hey.
simple enough.
Good strategy. There you go. Shut the fuck up on your show about it. First of all, these people are beneath you. They don't deserve your airtime. You're Tigerbelly. They're fucking nobody. Don't give them airtime on your program. Make them pay for it.
I agree.
Instead, he just gives them the airtime.
So I wondered why 2 weeks later he dropped this episode of Tigerbelly addressing it. Well, it turns out there's a reason why he dropped this episode. He got dropped by Amazon and Wondery. Now, if you remember, months ago, he was signed with All Things Comedy, owned by Bill Burr. Dude, why are you coming up and talking to me when you're trashing my wife? That Bill.
He's doing the Kumia thing.
It has to, right?
You know, the thing about Kyle is he does these impressions. You swear to God, they're the real person.
You know?
Burr. And he left them and signed with Wondery and Amazon, probably for a lot more money. It was a 3-year deal. On last week's Tigerbelly episode, everything was fine. All the logos were the same. On this episode and going forward, there are no more logos. He has been dropped by Amazon and Wondery.
Why did you talk about it? So he moved from Bill Burr's podcast network, signed with Amazon and Wondery, which had to be a decent financial move or he wouldn't have left.
Yeah, that's big.
And now you've got nothing. Will Bill Burr take you back? Bill Burr doesn't want to talk to Anthony because Anthony called his wife some names, which I get that. I understand it. But now Bobby Lee's done way worse than call Bill Burr's wife names. Now he's got the scarlet letter of kid fucker attached to him now.
That's nasty because whether you're being honest and it like didn't happen or not, like now Amazon hears that and just to save themselves from the tide of shit coming their way because of you, they've got to drop you now.
They don't want to touch it. Right, exactly.
Like
You're absolutely right.
It's just bad for business.
Yes.
Which now explains why he made this episode. So he's been dropped by those companies, and now in order to get a new deal with a new company, he has to address this Tijuana thing because he just got dropped by Wondery because of the Tijuana thing.
Whoa. Are we sure we've got our timelines right here? I don't think Kyle's got his timeline right. I think Bobby addressed the thing.
And then it happened.
Because Bobby came out with this early last week, addressing the Tijuana thing. And then it wasn't until now that Amazon announced today or this weekend that they dropped him.
I think that's what Kyle said, though. I think he said when they were first talking about it, in this episode, all the logos were fine and the same. And the next one, they were gone.
Oh, the newest episode doesn't have the...
I think Kyle has it right.
Okay, so my point still stands that he never should have fucking talked about it.
No.
God damn it,
because
Bobby.
like I said, whether you're innocent or not of these things, like you've now brought that upon yourself. Now you're known for that. Like,
I have a really hard time feeling bad for this motherfucker because
he walks into every punch ever.
I feel like the first time I felt bad for him, he was like a wounded puppy on the side of the road. The second time I felt bad for him, I'm like, why did you let this crazy bitch into your life? You knew what she was. And now this is like the third time. This is like Paul in Goodfellas, Paulie giving Henry the money and going, and now I got to turn my back to you. Mm-hmm. Because, like, Bobby, when are you going to learn? You're in your 50s, for God's sake. You've been in show business your entire adult life. When are you going to learn? There are no aw shucks nice guys. You know, it's the Mersh rant. These people aren't your friends.
This guy, though, I feel like Bobby is such an anxious little shit that he maybe doesn't believe that people are as evil as they could be. Like, he's too naive about it. And he's like, oh, there's no way they could be, like, out to get me that way. So I'm just going to address this and make sure everyone knows I'm the good guy. And everyone's going to be like, oh, okay, Bobby, I believe you.
If I'm just the aw shucks nice guy, maybe Reddit and TikTok will leave me alone. They will chew you apart for being that guy. You call them dipshits and then you ignore them. That's what you do. You treat them like the infants that they are. They're beneath you. That's what we did. It worked great. That's what you have to do on a much larger level.
Dude,
instead, he goes and addresses the fucking thing because he thinks being an aw shucks nice guy is going to save him. The only good thing that comes of this is that money grubbing bitch that he's connected to is going to lose money from this too. And now look what you hitched your wagons to. By the way, mark my words, she's fucking gone.
Yes, but I don't think without being shitty to him somehow first.
Yeah, but she's...
for doing this to them.
She's leaving.
She's going to go on a whole thing on Trash Tuesday or whatever about how he did this to them and all this. And
fuck
all
that. She'll do it to his face. I'm
sure in private. I don't know. I don't know if she'll do it on Tigerbelly.
Oh, on the show, she'll spit in his face like she has every other time. Like, remember the H3 podcast?
I do.
Spit right in his face.
Maybe you're right.
Millions of people.
I don't know. I've been a quote unquote nice person my whole life, and I've been that aw shucks, like I'm not, mean to these people. God, why are they being so mean to me? And I tell you what, it's never got me anywhere.
Right.
So I'm sorry, Bobby.
So it seems like the TikTokers, in a way, did kind of cancel him because that's losing out on a lot of money. I mean, to leave Bill Burrsting to sign with another podcasting company, there was probably huge money involved, and now that money is gone. So he did a whole episode addressing it to try and attract someone else to sign him.
See, now what the vibe I'm getting is that he addressed it after Amazon dropped him, but that doesn't make sense because they just announced that Amazon dropped him this weekend, and he released that episode before that.
No, he absolutely addressed it before Amazon dropped him.
I think Kyle's timeline is wrong. I could be wrong, but I think Kyle fucked up the timeline here.
I don't know.
And when I made that video 2 weeks ago, I was like, I didn't really think too much of it, but it seems like they got to Amazon and Wondery and they were like, yo, these TikTokers, they keep talking about this Tijuana story that you talked about on O&A and various other podcasts over the years. My whole thoughts on the...
By the way, I'm willing to bet because comedians are fucking garbage and they're weird and they're damaged and they've got sexual hangups, and comedians, especially the successful ones, are some of the most fucked up people you'll ever meet. I don't buy for a second that he made that story up.
Go watch last night's Simcast. We covered this at length, actually. And
what did you guys?
Multiple
what did you
comedians
think?
on it. Lila Hart and Chrissy are both comedians. They really do believe that all good jokes or good stories and stuff, while maybe not 1,000% factual, they're based in reality. Okay,
Yeah.
That's what makes it like connect with people. Okay, it's got to start somewhere.
I believe the Tijuana
So
story.
there was a lot of specifics. I think Lila ended up saying that she believes that he did lie about it, like it was just a made-up story. I can't completely divulge why she believes that. We discussed that afterwards.
Oh, okay.
But she believes that he lied about it. My heart of heart, like I do feel like there was a lot of specifics involved there that seems like, I don't know if
Have you listened to the O&A clip?
That was on my list to go find it.
I remember him telling that story on Opie and Anthony, and it sounds... You know how like we can listen to the Junkyard Dogs and know they're full of shit?
Yeah.
I listened to him tell it on Opie and Anthony, and it sounds like a guy who lived that moment.
Well, and he's told that story multiple times, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Like he said on different podcasts.
Right.
The Tijuana story, I couldn't care less whether it's true or not true. There's probably some of it's true, but not all of it, and things are highly exaggerated to make it funny. You have to remember, this is a comedian going on shows trying to tell a story and make the story funny. So he might have just thrown in the thing of she was underage or another messed up aspect of the story. But I had a feeling this could happen. I didn't know it was going to affect his pockets the way it did, though.
Okay, that's pretty much the gist of it.
We played a couple clips last night from this Tigerbelly episode of him like giving examples of jokes he made regarding that story about like basically like an underage Natalie Portman and stuff like that. And it's, to me, like if they were jokes, they're not landing. They weren't good jokes. It was pretty gross, actually.
Yeah. Zen Rhino, I agree with him. Points to Kyle for getting the phrase correct. It's I couldn't care less. Most people say I could care less. I fucking hate that when people do it. But if you mention it, you're being a little autistic.